Well, after a litany of skin and repairs, we have finally gotten ourselves into map number 1 here on Berlin. UT Chattanooga going to be on the favored side, hopping into P1 first. Andrew Crooked will try to slide in through the side door. Superior will find 2. It's a 2-for-1 trade at the point with UT Chattanooga and Mox Scott staying on top. Click a nice little flanked. It's going to be a 1 versus 1 on the point for the remaining time here for 35 seconds.
Concord open up with the favorable spawns and have held Concord Esports off this hill for the beginning part of this. Now, majority of the time gone, though, being contested here at the tail end of it. UT Chattanooga off to a great start. We said they had to come out swinging in order to really get some progress in this series. And now on rotation, Slim will get caught and cut down. Should be Concord Esports over here at P2, but just as I say that, it's playoff Red Chase who has slipped through the cracks and could play a pinch roll, and of course, spoiler here in the back.
Gonna play this slow. Doesn't want anybody from Concord being able to sniff that flank out all the way through the back, and you actually might be able to get great timing here on the Trauma, who's going to toss a nade. There it is. First kill going to come through, traded instantaneously, though. It's going to be Click who's there. Loyalty, the last one out by the dock side, with the Automaton out, looking for anybody who might be crossing back over towards P2. However, the break is in for UT Chattanooga after the kill feed was all blue. Concord has yet to get a point here in map number 1, although it's still early and a contest is now in. Red Chase will slide around. It's a trade from Andrew Crooked after the fact, and now UT Chattanooga are going to be once again from the outside looking in. Great hold there from Concord to stand triumphant after an early break from Mox Scott.
And with 30 seconds left, they could pull this one to a tied game as we look to P3. But a great opening, as you had said, from Mox Cod, where they just kind of got hyper-aggressive. And, of course, Red Chase slipping through the cracks allowed them just to exploit some of the weaknesses there on rotation from Concord Esports. And now, looking at P3 rotation, it is going to be a pair of open things up through fire, but that'll be quickly traded out. So they get the remaining bit of scrap time, and this is a tied game going into P3. Mox Cod right here with their setup do have the potential to lock down a substantial amount of time.
Well, it's a great setup for Concord over towards P2 here on P3, though, as Cash pointed out already. UT Chattanooga are looking nice for this new setup. Around the outside, though, Superior needs to hold down, lay down all the way in the back. Loyalty, some beautiful shots there with the Automaton. We'll find 2. Para in, last one alive is Slim in the back. Para with a brief fire there. Gonna walk directly into that as Slim. So, as good as UT Chattanooga were on the rotation, Concord will break immediately through the backside, all the way around the north side of the map into the docks, find their way in towards the point, and now can just hold these SMGs in towards fire, and it's gonna be the first one there for Para. 4 in a row, looks for number 5, unfortunately will get cut down, but it's trades back and forth in the pinstripe feed that will allow Concord once again to resume their hold on P3.
Loyalty opened that up, Para closed it out, and now what was the first 10 seconds of time for UT Chattanooga, Concord Esports has taken and flipped on its head now with a 20-point lead after 2 hills, not having a single point, as you had mentioned at the start of P2. Loyalty leading the lobby at 8 and 5 right now. Now Red Chase starting to heat up at 9 and 6, but we said Loyalty is that X factor of, you know, if he performs well, does this Concord Esports squad look at another 3-0? Right now, looking to feel comfortable on the map. Of course, Para doing his thing as we have come to expect, but pinch play coming in here out of Mox Cod once again. They sniff it out, and now it's just a foot race over to P4 for Concord Esports. You're just looking to keep UT Chattanooga off this.
Full double in the back allows Concord to get through the back. However, Superior and Click are going to be able to find the first 2. Now making their way felt all the way through the train station. Andrew Crooked's trying to be there. Snaps to the second. Can't finish the kill. He's already got 1 minute and 14 seconds of time here for Concord thus far. By far and away the most on his team thus far. 87 to 55, 25 seconds left here on P4. The last hill will be P5 in the middle of the map between P2 and, of course, the train station right in the middle of a very scrappy hill, very contest-heavy. However, though, it's about a 27-point game, so it's been good back and forth thus far. However, ever since that first and second rotation there, it's really been all Concord from that point on.
It has been, and even this P4, they're able to walk out with a win, though Mox Cod get a little bit of time on it. They keep them off for majority of it and are able to get the last 10 seconds of scrap time. Now, like you said, at this P5, going to be very scrappy and contest heavy. Concord Esports was still sitting well with a 40-point lead just about, so Mox Cod has to find a way to respond big, especially looking forward at P1 when we get back over to it. They're going to have to, 1, hold on to spawns, and 2, get another substantial amount of time there to bring themselves back into this one, because Concord Esports playing aggressive in turn around the map, collecting substantial amounts of time as they've now crossed the 100-point mark, and with 30 seconds left, they don't look to be giving any of it up.
And see, the thing is Concord just continuously swarm the point over and over and over again. And it's that flurry of players every single time that is just what overpowers UT Chattanooga and takes them out of position to do anything around the map. They can't set up team plays, they can't make cooperated pinches, and Concord can just punish them every single time by just sending body after body after body to the hill, because they're all confident they can win their one-on-ones, and they've already proven that they can do so throughout the entire map. So as we go for our second set of rotations back over towards P1, Loyalty has already been proven to be a shining star for this Concord roster thus far. Para will be from the back to help on out. Sure, Red Chase and Superior will be there, but that was beautiful to start things off. Already 14 and 11 for Loyalty, getting adjusted very well to this Concord roster.
And Crooked lying in wait for the pinch. Players are flooding to the front of the hill for Concord Esports, and it's going to be Crooked here who can make a play to really open up this hill and give the team another chance to get back in. That is going to not work out, and so now, though they have the favorable side, Concord Esports unable to get into this P1 for UT Chattanooga. It's a response that they very much needed to stay in this game. Now the deficit close to 30 points, and if somehow they're able to get the rest of this time, we're once again looking at another tied game. This has been a tightly contested series that we have come to expect just off this opening hard point. You know MoxCod's going to find a way to respond, and they're doing just that. If Slim can start to heat up a little bit more, the tides could change for MoxCod for the better.
Yeah, it's going to be key individual performances and step-ups from UT Chattanooga to advance this forward. However, it was P1 and P2 where UT Chattanooga were able to get the most amount of time in our first set of rotations. That storyline still holds here true. It's a rotation back over towards P2, though, where we have to focus our attention. And now as Red Chase is coming down the staircase, it's a 1 versus 2 at the point. You're going to slide in for the contestation. They're going to know where you are. However, from behind, Para, who is sitting in a corner down below, out by the dock side, is going to be able to slide on in from behind. 15 good seconds to Concord has already gone their way. However, the break's now going to come in. Andrew Crooked will win one from the front. So now back up and towards the top, it's going to be the spawns on the right-hand side for MoxCod and Concord Esports. Well, they're going to be spawning towards that left side, being able to push back all the way from that left side of the map.
Pushed all the way back, and I talked about at the top of the show where how effective, given this series and this map layout, are the ARs going to be. You see Trauma at 9 and 11 and Slim at 9 and 15. Two ARs that are having slower performances here, just like you've said it throughout the series or throughout this map. The SMGs have been playing so fast and just so in your face on both sides that it's been hard to get breathing room and get lanes locked down for the ARs. So the SMGs making it hard for each team to adjust and get their ARs and set up in successful positions. The first team to figure that out, I think, is going to find a lot of success. But as we look ahead at P3, UT Chattanooga, they've closed this one down to about 15 points.
I mean, you look to Andrew, who's already such a hard kill on the map, but when you put him in the hard point, and then he can just roam free around inside the hill, the problem then becomes you have Para, who then is going to be rotating all the way around on the outside, just slaying out with the SMG, and then you have to not only get through that line of defense, but then through Crooked inside of the hill, and that's why it can be such a deadly combination between those two when they're running SMGs on the map. However, though, it is going to be a break-in from UT Chattanooga, at least for the initial time, but the spawns are there for Concord. They can break all the way through the back yet again, and as Slim is going to be forced down to the fire side, it's going to be a stagnant yet cooperated push here from UT Chattanooga to try and get back to the point. Player number 6 will be in. Unfortunately, though, Click will fall. So with 20 seconds left, you're going to have to start thinking about rotations. If you're UT Chattanooga and MoxCon, you have to give this up. And now Concord is going to be out and rotated. And look at Loyalty, making the flank all the way back around to the backside spawn.
MoxCod not focusing on the rotation and trying to get a last bit of scrap time that they didn't end up walking away with. That now allows someone through their back lines. Player 6 and Click is expecting a flank, but he's just a bit too late. Loyalty is already through, so if this pinch can work out from train station, Loyalty can time this perfectly by opening up with one kill. Concord Esports could find themselves blowing this game wide open.
Nice tag up there. Loyalty, though, doesn't realize that a player will be coming from the flank. It's going to be Click who finds that kill. 2-2 trade. Concord looking to push out the back. You're going to be able to find the first one if you are Trauma. That's 6 in a row. You're looking for number 7. That would be Streaks. Tries to slide out with the pistol, but Slim is going to win the 1 versus 1, so that shuts down the opportunity for utility on the side of Concord Esports. However, they still hold the lead at 192 to 168. Difference maker, though. 20 seconds left on this hill. UT Chattanooga in a great position to soak up the rest of this hill time, and now trying to set themselves up for a good rotation to P5. Cash, this could be the break that UT Chattanooga needed to get not only back into this game, but potentially even take the lead on the rotation to 5.
This is definitely what they needed. It feels like the momentum shifted their way a little bit. Players starting to catch fire now, and this big 1v1 that Crooked was able to win over on the P2 side of P5 is going to give Concord Esports a little bit of positioning here, looking over P5. No one on the time yet, but with 2 kills going the way of the Mountain Lions here, I expect the same kind of contest-heavy, Concord-favored P5 that we saw the last go-around, which definitely will put them over the 200-point mark. MoxCod need to respond early if they want to stay in this one.
And Crooked won such a big gunfight all the way up to the top third that allowed them to stall out the time for just a moment and then focus their attention back to the spawn side. Para for 2, Trauma for another. UT Chattanooga back to the respawn block, but they're all the way across the map. And look at how Concord has set themselves up for this push. You have somebody already looking to the male side of P2. That's Andrew Crooked, who you come to expect to be able to pick up those lanes oh so perfectly. And now you're just 25 seconds away from winning this hardpoint. Sure, you can't win off of it, but they're already rotated over towards the next hill cache.
And I'll tell you the difference that really let Concord Esports pull this one away. Look at Trauma now at 21 and 16. He was negative by a margin of at least 3 or 4 kills as we were going over to P2 once again. The second set of rotations now sitting 5 kills positive. This is the AR that has found his rhythm, has found his groove, and as we've been seeing Para and Loyalty lighting up the kill feed as well, this is one that they look to close out now the lead at 50 points. Mox Cod playing a little scrambled. Pinch play has been sniffed out and cut off, and now with 4 dead. 10 seconds left. There is no time.
34 here in the map from Para. Andrew Crooked frying on all cylinders. Now you just cut off the spawn side. They actually don't even realize that they spawned from behind them. They're all turned around the wrong way. So Red Chase was able to break on in. Click will find another kill there. So they'll prolong the map for a little bit of time here, but it's only Concord Esports who need 2 seconds. So here's the thing, right? You can play for P2 here, or you can just send bodies back over towards P1 and force UT Chattanooga to split their time and not have anybody on the rotations. Loyalty, Para will both win gunfights. It's going to be 3 down now. You rotate back over. It doesn't even matter. You don't need to get to P2. Concord will fight through the front of P1 to get back in. 250 to 193 is good enough for Concord Esports to take map 1 and give themselves a 1-0 lead in the series.
Concord Esports really did a good job at stringing a couple of hills together. That's where we saw them get substantial amount of times and grow their lead exponentially. And then where they weren't getting substantial amount of times, they were at least, as we saw on the P4 more specifically, able to keep MoxCOD off of the time. So that really never allowed MoxCOD to close that deficit. So for Concord Esports, you play that hard point very well. Again, a 60-point scoreline. It wasn't, a 100-point club or anything. A very good MoxCOD team. So you come out, you get a 60-point win on map number 1. You set yourself up for success. I'd say Loyalty's feeling comfortable. It didn't take long to see him lighting up the kill feed, so I'm not too worried about the roster change unless something goes horribly wrong for the rest of the series. But given what we just saw out of Concord Esports, they're well repped and they're ready for what UT Chattanooga is going to bring.
See, I think for hard points specifically and Respawn in general, it's a little easier to adapt to one another, especially when you might just be playing some pickup scrims and whatnot, or just trying to scrim with the rest of the roster. But I think where the struggle could come in and maybe just don't know each other's timings and whatnot, and where these things could maybe cause some fissures and cracks in the surface could be in a search and destroy, but we'll leave that for after we talk about some of the statistics and the rest of map 1 and what made it so good for Concord Esports. Obviously, the stat line there for Para, 35 and 25, 22 non-traded kills to go along with that in a minute in the hill is phenomenal. And then again, you look to Andrew Crooked, who was pretty much sitting stagnant overall kills, but was leading the way in terms of the overall hill time through the majority of the early portions of that map, got them out to that early lead. Then everybody just kind of stepped it up towards the end of that game. And Cash, one thing I was really keen on throughout the entirety of that hard point was both teams were rotating early. It just seemed like Concord had the better ability to break.
I think that is not solely, but mainly because of the fact, as you had mentioned, the non-traded kills. I mean, nearly every player for Concord Esports sitting at 20 non-traded kills. So even if you're making rotation, you can break more easily whenever you're not getting traded out, right? So they were playing their lives better, and for UT Chattanooga, they just were not trading effectively. That allowed them to find themselves in 2, 3, 4 down situations where they couldn't get back into the hills. So for Concord Esports, you played it well, you played your life effectively, and you allowed yourself to not get traded out. So for them, I think that's what did it on the rotation, given that it was neck and neck.
It's been fun so far. Map number 1, pretty close between these two teams, as you would come to expect from two teams vying for playoff positioning and, of course, trying to get out of their groups and into the bracket portion of the eastern side of our CCL playoffs. 250 to 193. If you are just joining us, Concord Esports was able to take the first map. We now take our attention and talents over towards the Search and Destroy on Tuscan. We'll stay on Tuscan for at least one more map into the control after the fact. And of course, if UT Chattanooga is able to take a map off of Concord before they win 3, well, of course, we'll see map number 4 on yet another Tuscan. So, Cash, overall, Loyalty seemed very well acclimated to this Concord Esports roster in map number 1. The question now arises, how does the S&D now play out with Loyalty on this roster? Is there going to be a very similar feel to map number 1, or are we going to see some maybe latent struggles across the board for Concord, just not maybe knowing the timings of one another just yet?
Yeah, I think to answer that question, I think more so you're going to look at how Moxcott are going to look to play. It was a little bit sloppy at times from UT Chattanooga, so even if Concord's timings were a little bit off, again, like you said, it's a little easier to mask that in a hard point or a respawn. But if UT Chattanooga doesn't step up significantly, I don't think we see much of a difference for the timings of Concord Esports. It's a little more glaring in a search and destroy if timings are off, but again, the way they were getting kills and how ineffectively Moxcott was trading out, in search and destroy, one of the first things you need to tackle is being able to trade out lives. So for Concord Esports, I'm not too concerned. They only have one S&D loss thus far. And looking at the head-to-head, as we had said, Moxcott at 19-4, Concord at 21-7. Moxcott was the better, you could argue, the better hardpoint team, given that they had a few less losses. Now we look ahead at the search and destroy, 19-1 for Concord Esports, 13-2 in the control. That was Moxcott's best chance, to take this one. Again, we are so far from over in the series. I know we had said we were favoring Concord going into this. Really, UT Chattanooga, they have their work cut out for them. But for Concord Esports, I mean, given how you've been playing these modes specifically this entire season, still feeling good. But like you said, given those timings, I don't think we see too much of a change for Concord Esports. It'd be something glaringly obvious, and Moxcott would have to be playing a lot better.
Yeah, and again, it does come down to the general aggression that you can play with on Tuscan, and I think both of these teams have the players that want to be able to push up the map in an aggressive fashion. It's just going to be coming down to who's going to be consistently getting those first bloods on this map specifically. That's going to obviously dictate the pace, but more so than anything else, when I look to the side of UT Chattanooga, the one thing that concerns me the most is there are moments where this team looks very good, but then they, in search and destroy, at times have kind of relied on a big performance from one player to get things going early on in a game, and then being able to catch up after that fact. So I don't want them to be able to get off to a slow start here and then have to rely on one person to not only carry the weight for maybe a round or two, but just to get that energy jolted. I want them to be able to all have themselves a decent or relatively decent game to start things out, so they don't fall behind really too early. And at least in your opinion, do you feel like an S&D loss here in an 0-2 deficit would be too much to overcome from Moxcott if we went in that third control with Concord being able to take 2 straight maps? Does this feel must win?
You could say serious. I hesitated because Red Chase is sitting on the Moxcott roster, and we know just how dangerous that is. I think this is a must win. If you go down 0-2 against a Concord Esports squad that has a roster change in effect, again, doesn't seem to be bothering them given map 1, but I do feel this is a must-win for Moxcott. You've got to keep yourself within striking distance. You lost Rio the last time. Concord Esports has no problem doing that again. You've got to keep yourself with the ability to take the series lead at any point. That comes with tying things up here in the search and destroy. You had talked about those timings and maybe those little mishaps that could happen on the side of Concord Esports. For Moxcott, of course, they need to capitalize then on those missed timings and, like you said, not rely on a couple players to keep the energy going, but have a more balanced team effort. I'm looking at Slim and Superior to step up here.
Well, once again, there are some technical issues going on in the background. I know this series has taken a little bit longer than we might have anticipated, and we're sorry to keep everybody waiting that is trying to watch these games, because I promise we're also wanting to watch these games. This is playoffs instead of the CCL. It's the most important and fun time of the year, so especially a matchup that's a grudge match between Concord and, of course, UT Chattanooga. It's going to be one of those that we're just going to keep our eyes on as this keeps going. But we're going to send things back over towards Bravo while we get everything figured out in the background. McCormiel and Cash with you. When we get back, we'll throw it over. We'll see you back here in just a moment. Well, apologies for keeping everybody waiting, but there are some server queues going on in the background, some scan repairs, and some technical things on both sides of the ball that are keeping us from playing some of our games, but we are lobbied up and ready for map number 2 of the Search and Destroy. I know it's been quite some time between map number 1 and now, but my name is McCormiel. With me is Cash, and we're back between Concord and UT Chattanooga. It's a death match here inside of Group C of the Eastern region for our playoff groups. This is one of those matches that we kind of deemed as what should be at least 2 teams who will most likely move on to the next stage of the playoffs. It'll just more or less be for that seeding come into that next round. Again, upsets always happen, though, so either of these 2 teams could very well find themselves facing elimination or not even making it to that next round of playoffs. So, Cash, with that being said, it's a 1-0 lead for Concord over the Moxcott roster. What are we expecting here in S&D?
At least from the side of Mox COD, who are going to kick things off on offense first, it's going to have to be just some early progress. Of course, they got that on the S&D, but in the hard point, but on Search and Destroy, they need to get some early rounds on the board and capitalize on it. Now a 3-hit going towards this B side. This could work out well for them if they're able to capitalize. Well, Era opens up the first blood, and they had issues trading all of map number 1, so not a hot start for Mox COD, but that's what I'm looking to see from them to improve in map number 2.
It's a nice double there from Click that's going to allow things to be in an even 2-2 stand. 55 seconds left. Bomb in hand over towards this B site. You can start making this wrap back, and Loyalty actually doesn't get the timing to see them wrap all the way in towards P5. However, should very soon know that nobody's going to be there. Audio cue won't be heard. So you are going to be able to get across the middle of the map here by yourself off scot-free if you can get across in time, but you don't want to play too slow. I actually like that the wrap that they're making here, trying to catch them off guard, potentially if they go back over towards A, but they don't realize that Trauma's all the way in the backside, Spawn looking for a rotation through. This has been a very, very passive round from Concord after those first 2 kills.
And I'm cool with that because look who's left. Trauma and Loyalty, the 2 ARs for the squad. And more importantly, Loyalty, this is where we're going to kind of see, okay, what are these timings like? How synced are these players? They're a little spread right now, but as they look to retake this bomb site, I'm interested to see how they look to be flowing and communicating as UT Chattanooga look to get their post-plant set up.
Loyalty. First shot's going to be up in towards the top of the broken apartment building. Trauma's going to spot out Click, so they're in a pinch situation right now. Click's going to have to back off and try to challenge Trauma all the way from behind. I like the play there, but Trauma jumping across the screen is going to be able to get the best of Click in the 1 versus 1, so a 2 versus 2. After the first 2 kills went to Concord, will go back in their way towards the end of the round as well. The first round, on a defensive try, will be a 1-0 lead for Concord Esports.
For me, that just shows that they've done their preparation as a roster in and within themselves. They, like you had said, slowed down tremendously after the first 2 kills. They opened up with the first blood, got traded out essentially, and in a 2v2 didn't panic and go hunting for kills on defense. They forced the Mox COD to get the plant and worked a pinch from there. So I really like how they played that, especially with their 2 ARs. Mox COD around that, well, they didn't get first bloods to open up with, but were able to draw even. Didn't capitalize on any kind of timings or who was left on the side of Concord Esports, but now on defense, it's hyper aggression coming in, but Loyalty opens it up with a beautiful set nade.
Already playing out so well with the rest of the team. Whether that was a set nade that he knew from beforehand or a team one that was shown, they go ahead, they double naded over the top, get 1 weak, they finish it off with the second. So once again, Concord will already have themselves 2 kills at the beginning of the round, followed with the first blood in their favor. Loyalty still on 2 in a row. Para will fall. Click trying to go ahead and do what he did in the last round. However, that's beautiful shots yet again from Drama. Does a little 360 to celebrate, and now it's Superior left in a 1 versus 3.
And the only thing worth noting for me out of Mox COD is that Click is the only one of his kills on the board. Of course, we'll see if Superior can find 1 to 3 kills and try to get the round. But with player 8 and Crooked going on the chase, not quite getting the time to be behind him, I still expect this kill to come in for Concord Esports. Superior would have to make magic happen in, about 25 seconds here. So position going to get discovered. Jump around the corner going to come through. And Concord Esports, they're playing together. They're going around the map well. For UT Chattanooga, they just look a bit disconnected after the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, off the tail end of a couple first bloods for Concord in back-to-back rounds, obviously getting those first 2 picks in a round is going to leave things in a very, very sketch situation for a team that is left with those 2 players versus 4, and then a 1 versus 3 at the end with the bomb down. It's almost an impossible situation to win every single time. And, one of the things that we kind of talked about while we had our longer break was, it was important for UT Chattanooga to come out here and show a good amount of strategic ability and gumption here in the search and destroy early on, simply because this is a roster with the roster change against a team that's been playing throughout the entire year. You have to have something to show for playing with each other for the entire year, but a 3 versus 3 situation after a trade comes through after a slim first blood.
Crooked all the way through the map, though, and it's going to play spoiler on this A side. I have to imagine it's just a matter of how the timing works out, but could find 2 kills very easily here in the mid-map. Definitely is able to get 1, not able to get the second, but they know this bomb's over on this A site. We're going to see these 2 Concord players start to group up, clear out this B site for sure, and look to work their way across the map. Another 2v2 situation. Last go-round, Concord won it with ease. UT Chattanooga, if they can get this bomb down, that would help, but they've got to find a way to close this round out.
I mean, maybe you don't play it as deep if you are Concord towards the backside spawn over by B, but it's taken so long to get that bomb down over at A that you're actually able to find that first blood. So the trade comes through, click up in towards the top, but it's going to be Para who's there to go ahead and trade things out to the final T. 3 quick rounds in a row for Concord Esports. UT Chattanooga have been so close to being able to close out a few rounds, but so far at the same time.
And I think that round it was simply because they didn't get the bomb laid, like you had said. They had the map positioning. I know you kind of wait for a little more clearance, a little more information, but once the time starts to dwindle and Concord doing their diligence of clearing out the B site, you can only expect that they're at that top side of the map. Not having the objective laid made it that much easier for Concord to go and hunt those kills. So for Chattanooga, another thing for me that's standing out is Red Chase without a kill on the board. That is, of course, going to make a difference. We talked about Red Chase now once again being taken off the map as someone who needs to step up in the leadership department and get the squad really rolling and on fire. We have not seen that in this map number 2. Whenever you can get them off the board for Concord Esports, you know you've got to be feeling good.
Around the corner, Click is almost able to knock down Crooked, but Loyalty comes up from behind. It's going to be 3 players all making their rotation over towards that B site. However, with Superior getting that kill in the middle, makes it 2 versus 2, but it is going to be Crooked who gets some bad timing there on the player up towards the top, but is going to be able to chase one all the way through to the spawn side. Slim will fall. 2 versus 1. Superior last alive here with an AR. Good news, the bomb isn't down. You've got time to work with.
Gonna get info on the cross, but Loyalty will see that he's up there. So now they're going to back Superior down, get this bomb laid as Crooked is going to overlook Loyalty on the bomb plant. Superior in a 1v2 on a retake on a site that is not very fun. Lots to work around and clear out. Here is going to get eyes on 1, not able to get any shots connected, but as these players just start to dance around and kill time, Superior's got some work to do.
Well, you pick up the first, you don't realize that the one is below you, and actually now flanking all the way back around the plat. I thought maybe you turn around there for a second, but Andrew makes the beautiful play to get up and around you. You don't expect them to be playing there, because you didn't even see him move up close towards the platform in the first place. You just expected them to be playing far back in their spot, because that's where the bomb was planted for. So, beautiful plays there by Concord, yet another great round for themselves, which puts them at a 4-0 advantage over the side of UT Chattanooga. This Tuscan Search and Destroy has not been close whatsoever thus far, and has come off the backhand of Concord Esports having a very solid team strategy going into this game. Everybody's slaying on all fronts. And of course, you look to the UT Chattanooga side. Somebody's got to help out Click. Red Chase, unfortunately, on a donut watch right now at 0-4.
As you said, Concord slaying well and moving together well as a team. They decisively take the A bomb site. They have suspicions that this is going towards B. Moxcod have to find a way to respond. On their offensive round, they have not been able to collect a first blood, so if they can start to change that and maybe get the first kill here and not get traded out immediately, well, that could set them up for success later in the round. But as they're stuck in P5 with 2 players looking over them, it is once again going to be Concord Esports opening up the first blood.
Such a difficult gunfight to take there if you're Slim, especially when the automaton's in the top of the building there. But Red Chase will slide across with the help of Click and everybody else to go ahead and get 2 in the round here for himself. So, off of Donut Watch now. UT Chattanooga with a 3-2 advantage. Bomb working its way in towards the top of Church. I thought maybe Andrew laying down there was able to go ahead and find Red Chase. That would have been crazy. That would have been an ignition play there for Crooked and the rest of the team once again. Could have made things a 2 versus 2, but now on a 1 versus 3. Para's been great so far, but I don't know if he has the magic in him for a 1v.
This is just CCL 101. When you get Red Chase off the map early, you find 4 rounds in a row. When you don't get Red Chase off the map early, he gets the ace in the round. And so that is the reason and the catalyst as to how this Mox COD can start to find life in this search and destroy. Red Chase has to value his life a bit more. I know there's been some great set nades and different things, of course, but you were on Donut Watch at 0-4. You've completely drawn even now on a 4 streak that could very well turn into kill streaks. I know it's just 1 round and they have not only 3 to go, they're tied up, but 5 to win it. But this is what we need to see from Mox COD to start to get some life back in him.
Stun over the middle, won't tag anything just yet, but UT Chattanooga should know that they have them at bay just for a bit of time here. Look up the staircase. Oh, Andrew Crooked's right above. He's just got to get out with his life and finally will. Might try to jump back in. Door's still open. Ring around the rosy, they're going to play. Loyalty from the top, you're looking for Click down below still. You're just trying to clear this player out, and somehow he's befuddled both of them and somehow gotten away from 3 different players. Click still alive will get out with his life and escape up and towards the top of the radio. That right there was a masterclass from Click on how to use your momentum and, of course, movement to get out of that situation. It still prolonged things in a 4 versus 4, where now Concord are kind of stuck without a first blood and still have to work that bomb either towards A or B.
A modern-day Houdini That allows Red Chase to open up with the first blood. Granted, was it 45 seconds into the round? Yes, but I cannot believe the evasion skills that Click just put on display to force 3 players to go hunting in P5. None of them could find him. Bomb is now down near plat. For Mox COD, they've set themselves up to win 2 straight rounds. It's a much different looking squad whenever they can play at their pace.
Comes off the back end of a bit more passive play towards the early rounds, at least on defense. Para just laying outside, waiting for Red Chase maybe to slide around that corner. Up towards the top of the church with only 4 seconds left. I mean, there's really nobody on streaks for the side of Concord, but on the opposition, you know, I called out Red Chase for being on Donut Watch. Somebody has to help out Click. Well, he's gone ahead and found himself 5 in a row. So now with 2 straight rounds for UT Chattanooga, Mox COD 2 kills away for Red Chase to be able to find themselves not only streaks, but utility to use later on in the rounds while getting themselves some extra momentum in the process. So if you're UT Chattanooga here, the one thing that you have to do is you just have to bait yourselves for Chase to be able to get some trades and or a couple first bloods to make sure that those streaks stay. You just don't want to play too passive to the point where you're giving up opportunities to play for streaks that might not come into effect.
Nade opens up. Good of Red Chase to be clear of that. I knew those nades were going to be coming in. Like you said, can you just bait and switch a kill for Chase to start to look at streaks? That could be huge. You've won 2 rounds straight. Given up the A site completely, so as 3 players are rotating through P5, well, you've got 3 Concord players rotating through your spawn and fire now, so UT Chattanooga have a decision to make, and it's got to be fairly quickly, otherwise a devastating pinch can come in and a hit from the back.
Here comes Andrew Crooked, going to be the first one. Picks off Superior, so it's going to be Red Chase who's still alive. Now Red Chase, 1 versus 4. Crooked from the top ropes! We'll find the 3rd one as well at the same time. You knew it was only a matter of time before Andrew had himself a pop-off play. And here on Tuscan, look at 3. I mean, hell, it was Parasite. Well, Parallel. It was in the back lines there, but still, I mean, Andrew Crooked got the majority of shots there. I'm going to give it to him. Don't care.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, Crooked responding to a big play that Red Chase and a streak that Red Chase was able to go on, responds with a play of his own just to shut down any progress. Now they put themselves at match point here in our map 2 search and destroy up 5-2. We thought with some life coming into Mox COD. Concord Esports have quickly shut down, and now just needing an offensive round to close it out. All 4 players are on the same page, and they're moving quickly on the top side of the map.
Making headway over towards the field side. First engagement going to be there. Slim just laying down. Para has him dead to the rights right now, but Slim hopping back up. Somehow the bait and switch is going to come around the corner. Bomb will go down at the same time. Trauma slides around that left side. Another one going to be challenging over towards the outside. It's going to be Para who picks that player off. So 2-1 trade. UT Chattanooga now on a 2 versus 3. This is for the map here on Tuscan. Concord just needs to go ahead and hold in the post plant setup. UT Chattanooga must break back, and with only 30 seconds left, it's going to be a very, very daunting task to do. So you see player number 2 coming up through the top of the apartment building. Para just in the middle, waiting for somebody to push on through, and the first one's going to come around the corner. Red Chase is there, snaps to the second. Paralysis. Hero at the end of the S&D.
Man, oh man. Concord Esports, the Beasts of the East, they are taking care of business against this Mox COD squad tonight, and really that final kill cam is all you need to see to give you insight as to what we've seen this series thus far. And again, it came down to trading effectiveness for Mox COD when they were able to trade and find first bloods. Well, they won 2 rounds in a row, but it took them going down 0-4 to even get that started. So just a bit too late. And now, like you had set up, kind of going into map number 2, they find themselves down 0-2 in the series. Is this a mountain too steep for even playoff Red Chase to climb?
And you know, you kind of talk about that 4-round swing that went for Concord, and then UT Chattanooga was able to find 2 there. There were rounds during that 4-round spree for Concord that UT Chattanooga very easily could have won. I go back to the 2 versus 2 where they got that bomb down over towards the A site. They just didn't play together there towards the end of that round, and that allowed the side of Concord to just have easy pickings. Loyalty in the middle of the map was able to pick up 1, and then it was Trauma all the way out towards the field side that just got the 2nd on a beautiful kill. So that's really what led and turned the tides. But obviously Red Chase had a moment where he was able to tee up in the middle of the map, but across the board, slaying lackluster in the S&D for UT Chattanooga across the board. Slim 1-8, an unfortunate performance there in the S&D. We'll hopefully turn that around in the control when we come back to Tuscan. But you look to the opposition, it was Paralysis at 9-4, who had some beautiful plays there towards the end of the game, but 6 non-traded kills in an S&D. That's the blemish there that I think a lot of people are going to focus on.
And generally speaking, I think this is the same looking scoreboard as the map 1 Berlin. And what I mean by that is Slim having a fairly slow, not only night thus far that we've seen, but another slow map. And Red Chase again having a pop-off moment, but an untraditionally slower map for him as well, where on the side of Concord Esports, players playing very well, and it's a more balanced approach from them. Loyalty, of course, at 3 and 4, but still making necessary plays that mattered whenever he was making them. For Concord Esports, again, like you said, they just look a bit more gelled here at times. Mox Cod looking a little too disconnected.
You'll be happy to know that I just got word from production that we will not be taking a break between map number 2 and 3, so that means you're going to be able to sit here, enjoy some more Tuscan, and of course more control that'll come inside of this bloodbath of a series between UT Chattanooga and Concord Esports. But again, overall inside of the series, Cash, Concord has been the team that has been above and beyond UT Chattanooga. The map number 1, sure, it was close, but the Search and Destroy, it really was kind of that tale of two sides where Concord just showed how much better of a team they truly were when it came down to the nitty-gritty aspects of Call of Duty. We go into the Tuscan Control now, where they look to close this series out and start off 1-0 inside of Group C. That would bode really well, because you have to feel even just one win against the other two teams that will eventually enter into Group C to play against UT Chattanooga and Concord should be enough to get them into playoffs. I know that we've phrased it up multiple times here, but again, this is two teams that realistically should not miss the next stage and portion of the playoffs. This is just, again, a seeding match between both of these two teams, and in a grudge match at that as well, obviously with Red Chase being on Concord Esports last year, and again, making a top 3 run inside of the CCL last season, where they did lose to the Ottawa Braves and one of their sister teams. So Cash, this season, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Concord to make that deep run into top 3. Of course, it starts with getting out of groups and into the actual bracket portion in the East, but they're looking really, really good right now, and moving forward, you would expect the same thing here on Tuscan.
I would, absolutely, and you kind of posed the question at the top of the show and even just bringing it up there for Concord, is it going to be a different look now that you have a different roster on a different title? So far in this series, of course, like you said, they have to get into that playoff portion, but what we've seen, not too much on the side of wrong gameplay. Worded really weird, but really they haven't made many mistakes in this, and even then Chattanooga have not been capitalizing, or they've given them any kind of map control. Really the slang has been good for them, and the ability for them to play their life so well and not get traded out by Mox Cod. We saw it in the Berlin hardpoint, where they were able to, like you said, have neck-and-neck rotations, but still somehow come out on top. And then there in the Search and Destroy, they were able to not only open up with 1, maybe even 2 first bloods, but find themselves retaking bomb sites and playing together as a team in 2v or 1vx situations. So they've just looked a bit more cohesive in this series, and with the addition of Loyalty, that was the biggest question mark. But again, still a lot of COD and a lot of playoff left, not only in the series but in the season. Concord Esports, though, look poised and able to make another deep run.
Sure, and you kind of have to tip it at the same time to Loyalty here. Obviously, stepping up last minute, being able to substitute in on this roster here against a very, very formidable UT Chattanooga roster.
Yeah.
And now you look, and the gel is already there. The formation is there. The S&D was proof of that. But map number 1, we even started this series, he was the top slayer throughout the first, I think, 2 to 3 rotations for Concord early on. So that was already able to get them the ball rolling. And that, for me, is what showed that not only does he have the ability to mesh well, but he already belongs in a certain sense on this roster. So for UT Chattanooga, you already have to combat that. Your S&D looked weak against a team that is unpracticed in that specific mode when you've had the entire year to practice inside of Search and Destroy with your 4-man roster. That, to me, is the biggest kind of question mark moving forward. Is, you know, if you are Mox Cod, sure, you can play your hard points close, but if you have practice with your team for S&D on multiple levels, and not just in the CCL, doing other extracurricular activities outside of the CCL, why is it not showing up here against the Concord roster that has, again, relatively less time in respect to what you've done so far this season?
Most definitely. If they can turn it around here, maybe we can start to answer a few more of those questions, but it is definitely something to think about, given that they have had this squad the whole time. They have been playing a lot of Call of Duty together this season, not seeing any signs of, again, like you had said, that ability to make the appropriate adjustments and adaptations in and around a map for a squad that's stuck together like they have the entirety of the Vanguard season. So we're going to open things off, and Loyalty will take 2 in the mid-map. That will give them complete clearance over in this mid-map area, and already 1 take-up progression to B. Complete A-site control now coming in for Concord.
That Click will wisely back off of that doorway. Crooked will slide in towards the bottom of the church, pepper a couple more shots in there just for good measure. Up towards the top of the church, she'll go ahead and go. Out towards radio, potentially will be your next move. Red Chase will fall. 5 life advantage here for the side of the Concord Esports. Names are flipped up at the top, or rather the logos are flipped up at the top, so we'll get those sorted out here in just a minute. Either way, though, it's looked really good as an opening break for Concord here on the offensive side. You've already got the A site. An extra minute will be added on to the clock, and now you can make your way over towards that B site, where UT Chattanooga is waiting oh so patiently on the defensive side.
UT Chattanooga playing a little more back in their spawn. Now we see players 6 and Click getting P5 control, but the hit's coming from Catwalk and Church. So will they be ready for it as all 4 players are here? Loyalty opens up with the first blood. A big battle coming down at P5 and Plat as Click is able to find one. But with players still alive here for Concord, this could be a very good hit for them.
Staircase, Superior, one-on-one, wins it with the Automaton up close and personal with the MP40 onto Andrew Crooked, who has been good thus far here inside of map number 3. 4 and 4 from Click. Unfortunate starts from Red Chase and Slim taking lives off the board. And how do you win that if you're Para all the way on the back line? Sure, you anticipate it, but that's just such a difficult gunfight to win. You walk away with it, though. Still a 3-life advantage. UT Chattanooga have done a good job at dwindling a few lives down and at least stalling out some of the pushes from Concord Esports as they've made their way back over towards B. But as you can see, everybody just trying to flood in through P5 here. They are very confident in one another to be able to trade out these kills, but push directly into the mouth of the UT Chattanooga beast.
I like the adjustment that MoxCod made there. Red Chase was getting all the information there on radio stairs, and you saw player and Click rotate over from his position on Church just to try to compensate for that. Concord Esports still find themselves getting the break, so Chattanooga have to fly at this hill through top Church and through alley. They're able to get 3 down, and with 1 player alive in the back, they're going to try to sniff that out. Red Chase knows something's going on back here, but they're able to find shape once again. With 47 seconds left, they've kept lives close as well. So what opened up as a very dominant Concord offensive round is something where Chattanooga has found shape and kept form.
Spotted out Trauma all the way in the back line, but Trauma will be able to survive for now. However, Superior off the spawn side will be able to go ahead and trade that out all the way in the back. So with 3 versus 3 at the point until the spawns will come back from UT Chattanooga. Only 30 seconds left to make your push all the way across the map. So you've got 1 good attempt at this. You've evened out the lives now if you are MoxCod, and now everybody's going to have to be flying either through middle map or the bottom of P5. It's just going to be such a difficult gunfight to take here if you are Concord. Click's going to be able to find 2, almost snaps to the 3rd. You have 2 more players left alive here in P5, and they're the last hopes here. It's going to be a double out towards the platform. Crooked going to be able to trade to Red Chase. Now all the way up and towards the top will find Superior. Tries to get down into the point, but it's going to be too little too late. Concord Esports, despite a nice little hit over towards A at the beginning of the round, will unfortunately suffer the consequences of Tuscan control and not be able to get back to B in time.
A little bit of resilience early on coming in from UT Chattanooga. A good defensive hold from them. Only gave up 1 tick of progression at B. That could be huge in the late game. Red Chase is starting to get a little bit warmer than he had started that offensive control round, or excuse me, defensive control round off at Click, playing well at 10 and 6 as well. Slim once again having a night where hopefully if he can turn things around, you know that's going to spell and really just add dividends to the squad. A B hit coming in as they get church clearance and fly in. Pair trying to get a kill, but a quick break over here for UT Chattanooga.
You push all the way into the back if you are Click. Still one there. Paris actually going to slip the knot, get over the top of you. So you're back up and towards the top of the platform. Now back onto the point. You didn't even get the full tick over a B, so they can start getting that deep progress. All the way on the A side, though, you're going to have to get the forces split here if you are Concord to get back over there. 2 ticks of progress going to be there before a hit comes through, and I don't even know if they're going to send any bodies at this. They might here if they go ahead and find themselves maybe 2 kills there, but, you know, in the middle, Nightier's going to be looking for this pitch and hit into you. Yeah, you're going to get the A zone here if you are UT Chattanooga. So now a 2-life advantage for the defensive side. Again, there's a ton of time to work with here, but you haven't dwindled the lives enough yet to really warrant it getting into the glorified TDM type standpoint. So now it's just going to be hit after hit after hit. And you got to hope that you can go ahead and get that first bit of progress, and you finally will. Nade going to weaken you up, but that's a beautiful first tick of progress, and Superior will go ahead and help out Click on the point.
I think a bit of misplay from Concord Esports. They are able to collapse back on the site. They don't have complete clearance yet, but a bit of overextension over towards that A site that allowed UT Chattanooga to get such an easy first tick of progression, and now trying to close in on a second tick as well. They get that successfully, so they find themselves up in overall objective points. But again, I think that comes behind the overextension from a couple of Concord players there. Give up the side a little too easily, and well, MoxCod for one of the first times tonight are able to capitalize on that. Still a lot of work to do, down 5 lives, but minute 45 on the clock and just needing 1 more tick. Really, you just need 1 more solid break.
I mean, with Concord pushing out through the middle of the map, you know, I feel, or you at least have to think, that they thought, okay, UT Chattanooga is not going to be able to hit with as many bodies towards that point as fast as they did, especially since they were, you know, winning some of those engagements through the middle of the map. But they did get there. The players for UT Chattanooga were making solo plays to stay alive, but they're only going to keep you alive for so long and going towards that point. So now with a 16-11 advantage, a 5-life lead for Concord Esports, UT Chattanooga have only one tick of progress that they need, but they have to start winning some of these gunfights towards the top of the church. Andrew Crooked will jump on down, escape with a life, and now can re-challenge, re-hit with his teammates from a different angle inside of the church. There's 2 players there, but they're back onto the point. Loyalty has to go big from the top here. You're going to get some help from Andrew Crooked. Back over towards the church. You'll find the second. You look for number 3, but Click will survive. It's going to be a double hit now from the ramp side. Andrew Crooked inside. Click yet again with the trade on 3 in a row, and now if the reinforcements from UT Chattanooga can get across the map, you might just be able to get this last ticket B.
Now flying through P5 and fire, but the pinch coming in, a huge play coming in from bottom P5. It is going to be Click who sniffs it out, is traded before he can get streaks, was on a 4 or a 5 there, but Para finding 2 in the mid-map is huge for them now with 30 seconds left, and just one set of lives remaining. They're all going to group up here, and you know the read has to be coming through P5, given the time. Just a matter of mowing these kills down and not giving them a quick break.
2 players left alive. Trauma snaps onto 2. Loyalty there for the final player on UT Chattanooga. So what looked like a good couple of pushes there that might be able to just secure that B zone fall flat. However, Cash, what's so important about that is the fact that they got 2 ticks of progress at B and the full completion at A. So right now they are up 5-3 on the side of Concord Esports in terms of where they would be in tick progression for a defensive round if we need to go to round number 5. Of course, we have a long way to get there. That's at least 2 more rounds of controls that don't go to the way of UT Chattanooga and or Concord Esports. But on the offensive try here, Concord Esports looks to rectify their wrongs from what they did in round number 1. Trauma's going to be the first one to push up onto the site. It's a mid-hit, and of course over towards B from UT Chattanooga. There is nothing on A right now. All they got to watch for is a potential flank starting here from Slim and Click.
And just zooming out a little bit and having a look at the scoreboard, once again, we've been talking about that balanced approach from Concord Esports in the slaying department. All players over 10 kills. And again, for Mox COD, just a couple of slower performances out of some other players. Red Chase having an uncharacteristically slow respawn. Click at 21 and 14 doing it all for the team. You had said you want to see them try to like divvy up that load a little bit better. They haven't been doing that with much success tonight, of course, at 1-1 and the control, but just like that, Concord Esports find the A site with ease now on this rotation over to B and up lives as well. Mox COD once again find themselves having to make a stand.
Yeah, because it took them all of 9 seconds to capture that A point. So if that tells you anything, well, it can tell you a couple things. One, Concord's really good, or the fact that UT Chattanooga just didn't send any bodies over towards that A site and allowed Concord to roam free. Other thing to look at, Trauma, 5 in a row here at 15 and 5. Now Loyalty on 5 in a row as well. You challenge around that left side corner, almost able to get taken down. You'll turn around for number 7, so that's a glide bomb now for Concord here on an offensive try. You might save it for later on in the game. We'll have to just see when Loyalty decides to go ahead and use that. That could be a difference maker, though, towards the later half of this game. 1-1 we are right now. A minute 25 left. 2 life advantage for UT Chattanooga.
They're holding form and really just keeping their lanes locked. This is the exact same defense that we had seen that first go around, and they were able to take that round win. Someone playing up in P5, they have Church and mid-map locked in. Until Concord can get mid-map control once again, it is harder to get on this site because you just don't have any extra lanes to try and push through. They know the funnel is coming in from P5. They're just trying to be ready for it here. And with one more clean wipe, Concord Esports are going to find themselves now just with 1 push left, but Loyalty going to try to open it up with a glide bomb, doesn't connect.
I get you want to win an offensive round here, or at least get some tick progression on B, because that's exactly what you need to stay alive inside of this game. But I'm not sure if I like the streak there. It does get some information, but it doesn't get the kills that are necessary to start pushing onto the point. Either way, though, Para going to get very aggressive up towards the top of the B statue, pushes forward, tries to go ahead and find the next player off the head glitch. But with 35 seconds left, you're down by 5 lives. You have 1 good push at this to start getting some progress, and then you're just going to be flying over towards it in a foot race fashion. Trauma going to be peeking around the corner. That's a beautiful kill there from Superior, and that might have just closed and sealed the deal for UT Chattanooga here, unless some heroics happen and some theatrics pop off from Andrew Crooked inside of radio.
No one has any kind of flank worked out, so I can't see this working out for Concord Esports. They'd have to get very clean wipes here, and it's just not coming in. No one tried to make a flank or anything like that. They just opt to keep funneling through that P5 lane, and that's hard when you don't have mid-map control because you're not sure where the players are playing. But right now, they are stacked on the site, and Crooked going crazy in Church. That just opened up this B site for some early ticks.
Oh, and Para gets the kill on the back there, so that's 2 more. You get the first tick over towards that B site. Now Loyalty in the top of the Church is going to be able to find one. It's Trauma on the point. Okay, you're halfway through that B zone. Now it's 7-7. Much more manageable. Only 8 seconds left, though. There's that second tick of progress. That's going to be oh so important if we talk about a defensive round. However, you got to win the gunfights here if you're UT Chattanooga to get back to the point. Para's there for another. Nevigan with the pistol. Turns around and steps onto Red Chase. Concord Esports will win the round on offense after it looked like a disastrous attempt to try and get 2 ticks.
Just take my words and eat them right up. Wow. Concord Esports there. I mean, Para making just a heroic play. We've said that already once in the series, but once again with the pistol, we had seen them struggling to even get a tick. They get all 3 in one go with 8 seconds left on their offensive round. Find themselves up 2-1. This is huge going into a defensive round because now Mox COD have to respond. And how many times have we said that in this series? Not only to stay alive in the series do they have to respond, but they've got to find a way to get progress at B and get it captured now as we look ahead towards round 5 if they want any hope at having a defensive round.
6 in a row for Para, 6 in a row for Trauma, 4 for Andrew. Crooked make it 5 as he snaps the player in the backside spawn. Para will fall, so no set of streaks there for 2 times inside of the Tuscan. However, Trauma will now be on number 8 in a row as you look for number 9. Around the corner, Slim, 1 fall. The domino effect as Trauma snaps onto the next one. Almost takes a team out in the process, but body shots are required and necessary there. That was disgusting. A 12-life lead for Concord. They are just 1 round of control from sending UT Chattanooga to an 0-1 deficit. Streaks in the back. You get information. Concord Esports looks so damn good as Trauma's now on 10 in a row.
They have been on a 21 kill streak, and look how pressed up they are in the spawns of UT Chattanooga. Now they're spawning out at Fountain and P5 because they have nowhere to spawn in the back. The kills coming in, they were on a 20 kill streak in the feed. They are playing TDM. They have lost 3 lives this round. It is now 27-7. In a statement fashion, Concord Esports have taken the reins of this defense and look to try to close it out. Again, it is not over until it is over, but given that you have 20 lives to throw away, I just think it's a matter of time.
Shades of E United back in Black Ops 4 when they had almost a perfect round of control. This is exactly what it looks like, but 2 ticks of progress almost over at the A site. Now it's the 2nd tick of progress at B. So, despite the theatrics in the round here, sure, you only have 4 lives left, but you're going to be able to control the entirety of that B zone. Say you get back over towards A, that could be crazy, but it is the Concord Esports roster who are all completely set up over towards that next hill. Crooked in the middle of the map, 2 lives left. Red Chase, Superior, trying to do whatever they can to keep UT Chattanooga alive here inside of the control. A minute left. Control inside the Church now. You slide out to the middle of the map. Superior, the last one alive in a 1 versus 21. Top of the Church, you're going to be able to find the first. You look back down to the bottom. More shots going to come to your body at the very end. Concord Esports, a 3-1 win here in control. They'll start their playoff quest with a 1-0 record inside of Group C in the Western region. They look phenomenal, and they look much better than their counterparts on Mox COD.
They were playing well the entire control, but they really caught, I mean, even saying they caught fire is an understatement. They blew that map wide open at the tail end of that offense where they were able to clinch that offensive round win. That is a brow wipe worthy round of control for sure. And then they come out just as electric on that defensive round and off the rip. I mean, you were talking about what streaks people were on. We saw the kill feed go red and then go red again and then go red again and then streaks come in and it just turned into TDM. So even though sure Mox COD got the B site with 4 lives left, it didn't matter. Dominance there to close that one out of the mountain lines.
Look, it's rare that you see that nowadays where a team just runs through another team, especially in a round that UT Chattanooga needed to keep their series alive. But I mean, just looking across the board, a phenomenal performance put together by Concord Esports. It came off the back of multiple kill streaks there, but I mean, you look at Trauma at one point in that game. What was it? A 10 kill streak almost went up to 11 there. He was frying the entire map. Everybody was frying on Concord. Like, let's get that straight first and foremost. Tippable, to say the very least. You look to UT Chattanooga, and you hate to, just look across the board. Click had a great game. He had a good series overall. Red Chase struggled a bit here and there. Unfortunately, not the playoff Red Chase we're so used to, but really the main effect that we saw throughout the entirety of everything was the slim struggles from map 1 to map number 3. It was unfortunate. 8-24 to end things off there. Triple negative is not how you want to end the day. However, your playoff run is not done whatsoever. You can learn things from Concord Esports, but at the same time, that is a huge jolt of confidence for Concord moving forward. As we take a look at this map set one more time, map 1 was close. Everything after the fact was not.
That is very much correct, and I think if you're looking at this series as any other team that could potentially see Concord this playoff run, do your homework and be ready. I know we're so early on, but this will send waves, and this will set momentum for Concord moving forward. Just the dominance in which they close that series out was unprecedented. Like you said, you don't often see teams run the table like that and control, let alone to close out a series like that. So for MoxCOD, like you had said, plenty to learn from. It's not over yet. Like you said, not the Red Chase that we expected to see going into tonight. It was a grudge match that very much felt like an older brother against a younger brother, and just kind of held the stiff arm and never let him get too close.
Yeah, if you're going to beat Concord, it's going to be a bloodbath, a battle of attrition. Everything that you can use, throw the kitchen sink at them. It might even take a Category 5 hurricane to stop this Concord Esports roster if you're UT Chattanooga. But at the same time, we said there were some latent struggles. We didn't expect that performance out of Red Chase. However, this is the exact performance we expected out of Concord. Trauma, paralysis, Andrew Crooked, and hell, even Loyalty stepped up to the plate to give them that 3-0 advantage over the side of UT Chattanooga. So for MoxCOD, that was a phenomenal outing. But unfortunately, Concord Esports... they were just above and beyond you at every single turn of the way. So that's going to do it for that series here on Alpha. That was a fun one, to say the very least. Concord has me hot and bothered for more Call of Duty as we get towards the next portions of the playoff bracket and just get progressed with the CCL playoffs as a whole. But the next match up on the Alpha stream, it's going to be brought to you by I Hold Shift and Cruise and Spaz. Barry Bucks going up against High Point Esports. You're not going to want to miss that, so stay tuned. Stick around. We'll be back after a short break. You can find myself and Cash on Bravo at the 10:30 slot, so we'll be off of here. I Hold Shift and Cruising once again will be joining you for the rest of the way. Very capable hands of those cute and sexy gentlemen as well. So we'll send things to a break. When we come back, you'll have a next matchup and more playoff action here in the CCL.